Hello, and welcome to the Lore of Braunhaven. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the flora and fauna of the Braunhaven region. So, pretty much everything that you would expect to find, in a fantasy setting is going to be there, from rats and badgers and goats and chickens, all the way to unicorns, owlbears, puritans, purple worms. All of the typical Dungeons and Dragons fare is going to be found in the Braunhaven region. But there are some specifics that are unique to Braunhaven, and we're going to start with herbs, wildflowers, and different varieties of fungi, because there are some very specific ones. So because of how thin the veil is between the Fey realm and the known world, especially in this particular region, there is some cross pollination that happens from the Fey realm into the Braunhaven region. This is especially true around the Sylvanas forest, because there are many portals that lead through the veil to the Fey realm in the Sylvanas forest, and some of those portals are not permanent. Some of them will come and go, and so if you have to take care, because if you run across one of these portals, or you are searching for one of these portals and you cross through, you have no way of knowing that that portal will be there when you want to return. And so people have disappeared, vanished forever, because they get trapped in the Fey realm, or beings from the Fey realm get trapped here. And so there is this this cross pollination, and in some cases purposeful migration into the Braunhaven region. And so one of the first, it's really hard to describe this. It's called pixie-wort, and it is a cross between a fungus and a wildflower. It starts as a fungal pod, and the pod itself that will then sprout into a bright, vibrant purple wildflower. And this definitely is a cross pollination from the from the Fey realm, and it actually, I guess you could say, it infected and merged with whatever the plant life is here in the Galatian Empire. And the petals of pixie-wort can be dried and then made into like a tea or a potion. And a lot of people throughout the region will use pixie-wort tea as a sleep aid, because it does make you sleepy. It works as the sleep spell with a range of self. The fungal pod and the stems can then also be dried, and they can be, if you take them to a skilled alchemist, they can be mixed with other alchemical ingredients and made into a potion that will cause one who drinks it to shrink to 6 inches tall for 1d4 turns, so up to 40 minutes. So pixie-wort, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's common, but it is found in the region. Another type is Drakbloom. A lot of people in the region think that Drakbloom can only be found sprouting around the lair of a dragon. That is a complete fallacy. It's not true. But that's what a lot of people in the region believe. And it is a bright red flower with vibrant green stems and leaves. And it can be dried and crushed, of course, using a mortar and pestle. And it produces a peppery, spicy flavored, dust after you grind it up. And a lot of times it will be added to food. It has a flavor that is similar to a mixture of black peppercorn and cinnamon. And it can be made into a potion that whoever imbibes it will be allowed to breathe a 10-foot cone of fire that will deal damage equal to their current hit point total, and this works as a potion of fire breath. Um, so yeah, Drakbloom is it's fairly common. A lot of the people of the Braunhaven region seem to think that dragons are a lot more common than they truly are, but um, that is one of the flowers that can be found in the region. Another one is Bumblesnort. Bumblesnort is fairly rare, but it is a fungus that can be found in marsh areas. Usually, you're going to find Bumblesnort along these unnamed waterways where the region is far more marshy. Probably going to find it a lot much further east on the east side of the Gray Hills because there is a lot of marshland in the southeastern region. As the land is actually slightly lower than sea level there, and so there's a lot of marsh and swampland. Um, the the first and most common use for Bumblesnort is as a hallucinogen. Users will smoke it or dry it and crush it and snort it, and it produces powerful hallucinogens, usually that will last 1d6 plus 6 turns. And part of these hallucinogens is that the imbiber gains half of their current hit dice as temporary hit points. And because of these hallucinogens, and because of these temporary hit points, a lot of the users will suddenly think that they are, invincible, and it will lead them to take actions that they normally would not take. This can lead to heroic idiocy, and so this is something to be worried about. In that form, either smoking it or snorting it, it is highly addictive, and there are thieves guilds all over. Well, I guess not all over, but there are thieves guilds that this is a staple of their business, selling Bumble Snort to addicted users. Very lucrative. The other use for it is that an alchemist can dry it and crush it and make it into a potion that allows one to, for a limited time, read the thoughts of other people and it turns it into a potion of ESP. Another common, and these are quite common, and you'll find furniture and goods made of this all over the place, is the stone oak tree. So the stone oak tree is a very large tree, usually found at the foothills of the Skelos Mountains, so on the western side of the Great River. And you do find some of it in the mountains themselves, but it's usually in the foothills. And the stone oak tree is a very dense. It produces a very dense wood, and because they're so dense, it requires a special cutting technique to actually even cut these trees down or through fallen logs, and they don't fall on their own very often. And what happens after the tree is felled? You can cure the wood, but during the curing process, the wood actually petrifies very quickly. And so there are specially trained craftsmen. Dwarves are masters of this. There are specially trained craftsmen that can shape and cut the wood, making beautiful works of art and furniture as it is curing. And so when you get done, it will be as hard as stone when it is finished. The other nature of the tree is that it is covered in a bounty of little of green leaves, but the leaves appear to be made of like a thin metallic foil, and they make a tinkling sound in the fall when they fall to the ground. And they don't change color, but they do fall in the fall and winter. And these are gathered up. A lot of artisans, especially the elves, will use stone oak leaves in crystal and metallic works of art that they create because of the nature of these leaves. then you have, so those are some of the flora of the region. As far as fauna goes, there are a couple of individuals, creatures that are unique to the Braunhaven region. The first, and probably I would say likely the most dangerous, would be the stone dragon. So, and I wouldn't say that they are common at all. In fact, they are very rare. Stone dragon has not been spotted in the region for well over 200 years. Stone dragons uh, are they usually are found layering in the Skelos Mountains, but they may be found in some places in the Gray Hills as well. They generally have a reddish orange on their underside and a metallic blue on the top, and they are one of the few dragons that are flightless. They don't have wings, but they do have 6 legs. And the scariest part, you'll know that you are in the region of an active stone dragon if you find petrified creatures, because they do breathe a 70-foot long cone of petrification. They are also known to, uh, possibly one of the reasons, either they're extinct and that's why they haven't been found in the last 200 years, or they could just be sleeping, because stone dragons are known to sleep for centuries at a time. They'll go in their lair and then just crash out. They do generally have a 20% chance of knowing a language and spells, usually 4 first level spells. So they are probably the scariest one that is unique to the realm. I don't know. I personally would rather. I don't know. It's a toss up. I personally would rather be burned by a red dragon's fire breath than being turned to stone and then just being stuck there. I guess with the stone, at least you have the chance that somebody will come find you, but it doesn't sound pleasant. The other one are these creatures that are completely loathsome. They are called shrivelkin. They are Shrivelkin appear to be a mix between a goblin and an insect, and they usually are around 3 feet tall. They weigh up to 110 pounds. They are bulky, and their body is covered in chitinous plates. And you can tell the age. I mean, most Sherlock being what they are, don't live to an old age, but you can tell the ones that are older because as they age, they will grow a thin layer of moss and fungus on their chitinous shells. Generally, they're going to be they are going to work in conjunction with another creature called the Fahag, and excuse me, they will come through. They are from the Fey realm. They will come through the veil where it is thinnest, and essentially their whole goal on the prime plane is to kidnap children and take them to the Fahags. And so, uh, you know, I don't think the Shovelkin really care what the Fahags do with them, but that is what they are most commonly doing when you run into Shrivelkin on the prime plane. Um, so they are, not only are they, loathsome to the point that they're kidnapping people's kids, but, um, they nobody likes them. If you see Shrivelkin, you want to get rid of him, and you never see, if you see one Shrivelkin, there are many more nearby. They travel in rather large packs. So the Fahags, they are actually the product of these kidnapped children, specifically female infants and adolescents that were kidnapped. The Shrivel can bring them to the Fey realm. They bring them to the other Feyhags. The males, the Feyhags just eat them. But the females, in a lot of cases, not always, but in a lot of cases, the Feyhags will then conduct a ritual turning them into another Feyhag. They always appear as an old woman with a hooked nose and a hunched stature. That doesn't matter what their age is. They could be 20 years old and they'll look like an old woman. And uh, like I said, they employ these Sherlockin to kidnap more children and bolster their numbers. luckily for most people, and I say this luckily, they eat most of the children, including the females. But every so often they will they will turn one of them into another Fey hag, and generally that'll happen if I mean even Fey hags, I guess you could say, get lonely. Um, that's probably not true. They're looking for more power, so they will create a coven of up to four of them. And so if they are looking to do that, then they will tend to turn more female children into Fey hags. They Fey hags generally play the long game, and they are known for having a hideous gaze, that they can look at somebody within 30 feet of them and cause them to be weakened, taking a -2 penalty to their attacks for 1d6 turns. They have um, they are immune to illusions, and they have the ability to cloak their form, so they can actually. It works kind of like a polymorph self. They can actually cloak their appearance, and it's not it's not as dramatic as you might think. I mean, they look no matter their age. Normally, they look as an old woman, hunched over old woman, but they can cloak it to make themselves just look like an elderly village woman, out doing her thing, and they use this as an ability to kind of protect themselves. Another creature far better than the Fey hags is the fairy cat. So fairy cats are directly from the Fey realm. They are highly intelligent felines. They are about 1 to 2 feet long, and they have gossamer wings that they keep. Usually, they keep them tucked under a thick coat of fur that they have, and you can find them almost anywhere. I mean, they're cats. They wander and they proliferate. Um, and they are usually highly sought after by magic users, illusionists, um, uh, uh, sometimes even elves, because they make excellent familiars. Um, Now the feral fairy cats can usually there's a 1 in 6 chance that you can generally befriend a feral fairy cat. Domesticated fairy kittens will bond with their new owner like almost immediately. So if you can find domesticated ones, then that's going to be a much easier time for you. They have the ability, they can communicate telepathically within 30 feet of someone. And if they do become a companion and they are bonded with an individual, they can actually telepathically transmit their senses to that person up to 240 feet. And so and of course they do have flight, so this can make them extremely useful to magic users as a familiar. The back to the scary end, we have a common type of golem found throughout the region is the hay golem. These aren't to be confused with scarecrows, which also exist. Scarecrows are actually a living creature, whereas hay golem is not. They appear to be 6 foot tall scarecrows. They're usually crafted by fey hags, but sometimes they're also crafted by magic users. And they are imbued with restless spirits, that have a hatred for the living. So if you've got a chaotic ghost or a poltergeist, these magic users and fey hags will imbue this scarecrow with these spirits to give it life. And they are made with burlap bodies that are stuffed with hay. They have hands. They'll take old leather gloves and they will tip the fingertips of the gloves with rusty garden shears, and then they stick a jack-o'-lantern on the head. And when the ritual for creating the golem is completed, the jack-o'-lantern bursts into flame and stays lit as long as the hay golem is active. They Unlike most golems do have an alignment of neutral, but hay golem, because it is formed by these evil spirits, that is what is animating it. They actually have an alignment of chaotic. But they are, because of the hay and burlap, they are very flammable, and so you can use that against them. And finally, back to the, I guess you could say they they range in the cute. There are ratlings, and they are natives of the Fey realm as well. The ratling is a humanoid rat. He's about 3 feet tall, and almost inevitably, always they are very cheery and friendly people. They are they make their homes in old trees or stumps that they find in the forest, and they in the Braunhaven region they usually speak Gernvold, which is uh, the official, most commonly known native language of the Glossian Empire. Almost everybody that was born here is gonna speak Gernvold, and they also speak Handeln, which is the common tongue language. And they, like I said, they're cheery and friendly. When they see people that are near their small little home, they are known for coming out of their house and offering people, tea. They do have a joy for tea. The other thing that they're known for is that they, so similar to so for instance red caps, you always know a red cap because they're wearing a red cap. Ratlings uh, really like to wear tweed vests, and they'll always be seen in their tweed vests. Sometimes they'll be wearing a flat cap, but often just a tweed vest. And they are friends with everybody. They The other thing that they are known for is that they have an affinity for picking up and gossiping every little piece of information that they learn about an area. So if you are somewhere that you are looking for something or someone, or you need to know what the local goss is, find if you can find a ratling, he's going to spill his guts and want to tell you everything that he has heard come down the pipeline, whether it's true or not. So you may get a lot of information that may not be entirely correct. Like most gossip, there is a kernel of truth. It starts from something, and so they can be a good source of local lore, more or less, if you're in a region that you don't know much about the area. Um, yeah, they have a 3 in 6 chance of knowing local gossip, and every time you meet one, you roll a d4 because that's how many different stories they will tell you. A lot of times they don't even take a break; it'll just go right in mid sentence. It'll go right into the next tale. So, yeah, keep a lookout for ratlings. So next time on Lore Brunham, we're going to get into some of the folklore that the people discuss around the region, and what how that can play into the characters. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time.